Today's the day we get ready for Dad's solar install. Stay tuned and see how we do it.
Gary, Stacy, Spirit, and Sophie, we're taking our motorhome around the country. Throughout North America, we're on the road. It's Powhana Travels, here we go.
Alright guys, we're going to mount the PT100 solar controller now. It comes with this nice little mounting bracket back here to keep it off the wall a little bit so it has good ventilation at all times. So we'll mount the mounting bracket first and then put the PT100 up on the wall. Alrighty. Okay, well that's mounted in place now. We'll have the solar wires run in probably the next couple days. And they'll just come down through here and into the solar controller. And then out this side to the batteries. So it should be a nice little setup. Now we're going to install the rest of the BMK. Earlier we showed you we've got the shunt installed right over here behind the batteries. And then we've also got the braided or twisted orange and blue wires that go up to the control box right here. And from here, the control box talks to the Magnum inverter through a communication wire, so everything will be everybody's talking to everybody through these network wires. It's pretty cool. Okay, so the BMK is mounted up there on the wall, and now I just got to make a few connections to make this thing work. And I am referring to the instruction manual as to what wire specifically goes where. Alright, we got the twisted pair plugged into the monitor. And now it's just going to run the data cable, the network cable, from the BMK to the inverter. Alright, the network cables run back behind the inverter and just set there, ready to be plugged in when the inverter is turned on. But I just wanted to kind of get it all pre-wired, pre-run and set. So that takes care of the installation of the solar controller and of the BMK in here. Move on to something next. Okay, so I'm here at the circuit breaker box right now in Dad's fifth wheel, and I'm going to take a look inside and see what we need to do to run these wires up to our sub panel. So let's see how this goes. So in the main circuit panel, there is your main switch, and then there's also about 13 other circuits. So we only have a sub panel that'll handle 7 additional circuits. So we have to just decide which of these main circuits to pull off and feed to the sub panel. Make sure you hook up the circuits that you would really want to use all of the time, like your microwave, your entertainment center, your washer, dishwasher, or whatever it is. Make sure you label that so you can move it to the sub panel and have it on the inverted circuits at all times. Well, here we are at the circuit breaker box. And once again, I want to let you guys know I'm not a certified electrician. I'm not a contractor. I don't really have much experience doing 120 volt stuff. However, in my research, I have found that this is the best way for me to do this situation, to take care of this situation. So you need to make sure that you're following the proper procedures and all that when you're doing any work on your own rig. So now, here we are again at the circuit breaker box. I have, once again, assured that all power is cut from this box. There is no power, nothing feeding this box at all, so I have no problems working in here at all, no fear of being electrocuted. I've identified and pulled back all the circuits I want to move out to the inverted sub panel. I pulled them out of the current circuit breaker box, and I'll be pulling them into the sub panel location in just a few minutes. One last thing that we have to decide is figure out which air conditioner is going to go on the inverted circuits and which is staying back here on the shore power circuits. So that'll be done in just a little bit. Now I'm going to start working on pulling the wires through to the sub panel area. Alright, here we are in the pass-through. This is just the same pass-through everybody else has in their fifth wheel. We're going to pass. So these are actually the some of the wires I pulled back from the circuit breaker box. They're right here, and we're going to mount a sub panel right over here, or actually probably right here. So these wires are going to feed right into the sub panel, and gosh, no moving, no junction boxes, no nothing. This is going to be nice and easy. So you can see up over on the left side where the wires are going in or out of the wall, that's where the circuit breaker box is. And I've just pulled these wires out of the box and back into here where the sub panel is going to be. You can kind of see the spaghetti mess in there a little bit. I'll untangle some of that if I can. But yeah, you can see this. This is behind your rear wall of the pass-through. You have the old converter that we're not going to use. So we want to put the sub panel either here or here. It just kind of depends on how much wire we have. So let's see if we can reach over there. I don't know. And there, I think with that, our sub panel's going right here. Just these wires aren't quite long enough to reach all the way over and out. So it'll work perfect right here. We'll just have to remount this somewhere else, which is not a big deal. So I've shimmed out the sub panel here. Use these 1-inch spacers to bring this surface out even with the surface of the dirt devil. And then we'll be able to put the panel cover right over top of this. It'll be a nice flush finish on the back wall of the pass-through. We'll have to actually cut an access hole on the back wall of the pass-through as well. But we wanted to put it over here, but the wires just weren't long enough to go over there. This is about all we got for the length, so right here's going to work perfect. Just getting her level.
Dad's back.
Hello. So the wires are long enough without having to...
Yep, no junction box required.
Good.
So we're working on mounting the inverter right now. It gets pretty hot on the bottom side, and we got a little bit of carpet down here on the floor of the cargo bin here. So I'm going to raise it up off the floor a little bit using this 2x6. Just going to cut it in half and place each side underneath the mounting legs of the inverter, and that'll raise it a good 1.5 inches up off the ground for more ventilation underneath the inverter. I've referred to the installation manual for the clearance specs of the inverter, and it's requesting 6 inches on the front side and on the back side from anything, and we've got 6.5 inches there, and let's see, 2 feet on that side. And they also require 3 feet or 3 inches on either other side, so we're really good right there. I could push it forward a little bit if I wanted to, but I think it's good. It's going down right there. Good and solid. I like it. All right, next project is getting this 6-2 wire run from the inverter to the sub panel, and then from actually the main panel to the inverter. So I got to do 2 runs of this stuff. In order to do that, I've got to cut a hole through this stuff up here. So that's what I'm going to play with right now, making holes. Okay, this is the sub panel feed. Just making sure we got enough length, and then always adding a little bit to that. Might as well. Always good to have a little bit more than you need. Should be good. I'll leave the string release loose for now. And now, you need to do another run just like that to the main circuit panel. So this will be the 50 amp feed to the inverter. Okay, so there we go. Easy enough. Just push the circuit breaker panel out of the way. Alright, so I've got the inverter feed wire fed from my original circuit breaker box to the inverter. I'm going to feed that or supply that with a 50 amp breaker. There's a 60 amp transfer switch in the inverter. I'm only going to send it 50 amps because that's what my box is rated at here. So I'm using a 50 amp breaker here and a 50 amp breaker in the sub panel. Just working on getting this stuff all hooked in right now. Once again, I don't know what I'm doing. If I'm doing this wrong, I will figure it out very shortly. There we go. Alrighty. So that completes my 50 amp feed to the inverter. That will be the inverter feed right there. This is not wired at all, but rather than leaving hot exposed bar there, I'm just going to put these in here and leave them in the off position. Okay, so just finishing up the connections. So you can see the wires over here. I ran from the main panel and the sub panel. They come down along this wall and into the AC junction box on the inverter. And right now I'm just wiring up the neutral wire for the sub panel. Once that's done, basically be complete here. They've got to tie the neutrals together, of course. Putting together equipment grounding wires now. Have to ground the electrical equipment chassis boxes to the vehicle chassis. So that's what this wire is for. This one is running to the solar controller. Okay, so what these are is equipment grounds. They actually ground the box to the vehicle chassis. It is a code requirement, I guess, and safety issue as well. So as you can see, I've done this. I've run the equipment ground for the solar controller, and this one here goes into the inverter. All right, you can see I've also wired in the inverter. This is the 6-2 wire. The one side, looks like this is the hot side, comes in from the main circuit breaker board, and then it jumps over to the sub panel. So this side over here goes out to the sub panel. So this is 6-2 wiring going to and from, and it'll support the 50 amp load without a problem. The inverter also has a transfer switch in it, a 50 amp transfer switch. So when it senses that there's shore power, it'll grab the shore power versus inverting battery power. That's the purpose of a transfer switch. We got communication wires in here for the battery temperature sensor, and this other one is for the, what's it for? The battery monitoring system. So temp sense and battery monitor right here. And there'll also be another data cable plugged in that will go to the remote control up in the kitchen area of the fifth wheel. Also got the DC wired in, both positive and negative, all wired in. Main power still off though, so we're not energizing anything. Main power is off. All right, that's looking great. Also, part of the temperature sensor. So you saw how I plugged the temperature sensor in on the back side of the hybrid over here. Well, the cable runs and attaches to a negative post on the batteries. And what the temperature sensor does is it'll adjust its charging. It'll adjust the charger's battery charging profile based on the temperature of the batteries, if they're over or under a certain point. So it's kind of important to have that battery temperature sensor on there just in case you're in a hot environment. You want to make sure your charger isn't going to fry your batteries even more. This will help with that issue. Back up there, that box on the top side over there is the Magnum BMK. That's the battery monitoring kit. Another big part of that kit is the shunt right down here. This is measuring all of your incoming and outgoing amperage and voltage and watts. We attach all the negative loads to one side of the shunt, and the battery side of the shunt is independent, so I'll be able to tell what's going in and out of the battery. Kind of a cool system. That way you know where your rig is at. It's good to know the battery levels, battery percentages, and voltages. Yeah, let's see what that's doing. How you doing in here?
Super.
Yeah?
Got lots of wires.
Good. Aren't you glad we did this? So what Dad's doing is rewiring all the circuits in the sub panel. So the wires you see sticking out of the sub panel are the wires that we took out of the original breaker panel. We fed them back to the sub panel, and now these circuits will be powered by the inverter. And since the inverter has a transfer switch in it, when we're plugged into shore power, the sub panel will run off of the shore power as well, not just the battery power.
All right, Dad.
What am I supposed to say?
If you like this video,
As usual, if you like this video, click on the
give it a
thumbs up. Click on the thumbs up below.
give it a thumbs up.
As always, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up down below. Leave us a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We thank you for watching.
Until next time, Pow Hana.